have any idea what I'm capable of, who I am.
Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. This one I'm going to be doing a bit of a tribute to an actor called Richard Norton. You might be aware that on this channel we focus a lot on 80s and 90s action stars and action movies. Richard Norton is one that I tend to find a lot of people that I know haven't actually heard of, which is a real shame because he's got a real legacy behind him and a library of great movies, great action movies. Not just ones where he appeared on camera as well, but he did a lot of stuff behind the scenes as well. So, in fact, to be fair, there's a lot of movies that you probably have seen him in and didn't realise who he was or what he was about. So, I think this video will be good to raise awareness of his work because I really only became aware of him in the last few years. I feel like I really missed out on enjoyment of movies, maybe as a younger person and so on, because he's been around for a long time. Unfortunately, he passed away early last year in 2025. So, this video is kind of going to be a bit of a tribute for him as well as somebody that we lost, but to celebrate a lot of his movies as well. And like I say, if there's any of these that you've not heard of or not seen, just check him out on IMDb, and yeah, you won't be disappointed, I don't think. So right, here's a bit of information about him anyway. Richard Norton's story is one of those rare journeys where real-world skill and cinematic presence blend almost seamlessly. Unlike many action stars who learned to fight for the screen, Richard Norton built his reputation in the real world first, long before stepping in front of a camera. Born in Australia in 1950, Norton developed an early interest in martial arts, eventually becoming a highly respected practitioner and instructor. His expertise wasn't just theoretical, he trained in multiple disciplines and earned recognition as a bodyguard to some of the biggest names in entertainment, including the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, and Fleetwood Mac. That experience protecting high-profile clients gave him a grounded, practical understanding of combat that would later define his on-screen persona. Norton's transition into movies came somewhat organically. His physical presence combined with authentic martial arts ability made him a natural fit for the booming action cinema scene of the late 1970s and through to the 1980s. One of his early notable appearances was alongside Chuck Norris in The Octagon. That collaboration would become a recurring theme in his career. Throughout the 1980s, Norton became a familiar face in martial arts and action films, often cast as a formidable antagonist. His ability to convincingly portray villains came not from exaggeration but from controlled, precise movement. He fought like somebody who truly understood combat. One of the most defining chapters of Norton's career was his work in Hong Kong cinema. Teaming up with stars like Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung, Norton appeared in such films as Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. These films showcase not only his fighting ability but also his adaptability. He could match the fast-paced, highly choreographed style that Hong Kong action cinema demanded, similar to Cynthia Rothrock. Unlike many Western actors entering that industry, Norton earned respect. He wasn't just a foreign addition, he was a legitimate martial artist who could keep up with some of the best in the world. Norton's collaboration with Chuck Norris became a cornerstone of his filmography. In movies like Forced Vengeance and An Eye for an Eye, Norton often played the villain alongside or opposite Norris's heroic lead. Their on-screen chemistry worked because it was rooted in real mutual respect. The fights felt authentic, less about flashy choreography and more about controlled intensity. Norton's villains weren't cartoonish, they were disciplined, dangerous and believable. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Norton stepped into more prominent roles. Films like China O'Brien, directed by Robert Clouse, gave him a chance to be more than just the antagonist. He played supporting and co-lead roles that highlighted his range within the action genre. While he never became a mainstream Hollywood A-lister, Norton achieved something arguably more enduring: cult status. Among martial arts film fans, his name carries weight. He represents a bridge between Western and Eastern action cinema during a time when the two industries were beginning to influence each other more directly. Norton's impact goes beyond acting. He became a respected fight choreographer and trainer working with major Hollywood productions. His expertise contributed to films like Mad Max Fury Road, where he helped shape the physical realism of the action, and we've talked about that movie recently. He also trained actors, ensuring that fight scenes looked convincing without sacrificing safety. This behind-the-scenes work arguably extended his influence further than his on-screen roles ever could. In terms of legacy, Richard Norton's career isn't defined by blockbuster fame, but by authenticity and respect within the industry. He stands out as a practitioner first, actor second, a distinction that gives his work a unique credibility. In a genre often criticised for artificiality, Norton brought something real. Whether facing off against Chuck Norris, appearing in Hong Kong classics, or shaping modern action choreography, he helped define what believable screen combat looks like. If you were to sum up his legacy in a single line, it might be this: Richard Norton didn't just act like a fighter, he was one, and the camera simply captured it.
So yeah, he's done some really good films over the course of his career, and a lot of the time he appeared on screen with Cynthia Rothrock, who I've talked about quite a bit on the channel as well.
What is it with me today? How come I'm so popular?
Kick his ass, man!
What, it's in my clothes? What? Come on, give it up.
Two of them are kind of known as the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers of martial arts movies, because they did a lot of films together. They just had that kind of chemistry. They weren't involved in a relationship. It's not like Charles Bronson and Jill Ireland, who did a lot of films together. They were married. This was just two people that just kind of came about at the same time. Very similar kind of action stars and action movies that they were in. They just kind of got put on in a lot of movies together. So if you wanted to know some of his movies that he's done for recommendations, I say check out any of them. You can, like I say, look him up on IMDb, and there's obviously, that's how it works. You can see somebody's filmography. In terms of getting these movies, not the easiest in the UK where I am. There's a few that you can get. A lot of the ones he's done with Cynthia Rothrock. So there's quite a few of her films that you can get on Blu-ray, such as this. The Magic Crystal plays a bad guy in that one. There's actually a 4K as well, China O'Brien 1 and 2. He's in both of those movies. But he's done quite a few films with her. There's one that I got fairly cheap. You can ignore the price tag on that. I don't think I paid $12.99. I think I got it cheaper off eBay. And that is The Sword of Bushido. Pretty good film as well. But unfortunately, like I say, some of his films you just can't get, unless you're like me and I know somebody who can provide me with pirate copy Blu-ray, pirate copy DVDs basically. These are ones that you just cannot get commercially. There's no option to get them. A lot of them will be on YouTube, I guess, on the flip side, so I guess that makes it easier. But if you're a physical collector like I am, getting hold of them is very difficult. The reason I show you this is something I kind of made myself. There's a few of his films there you can kind of see some of the titles that I'm talking about there. Some of his movies that I got from my person that gets me these movies. I think what they've done is they've just basically converted them from videotapes onto like a DVD and just sent me that through. So that's pretty cool. You can get. So yeah, that's something that I've had to do to increase my collection with a lot of movies. A lot of guys like that, like Don the Dragon Wilson. There's a lot of his films you just can't generally get on any kind of commercial official release, so we kind of rely on bootlegs. But there's a few that stand out anyway of Richard Norton's. There's one in particular that I understand is a bit of a cult classic, or it's regarded that way. I really like this film. It was called Under the Gun. It's got a kind of film noir kind of feel to it, which sounds a bit pretentious to say, but if you watch the film, you'll know what I mean. To say that it's an action movie, having that kind of angle to it is kind of notable and unique. In fact, here's a clip from that film. You'll see what I mean from the kind of acting that he did, the kind of, what's the word, presence that he conveyed in his movies. Here's a scene that I've kind of edited from Under the Gun, which I believe you can also watch in its entirety on YouTube. So not if you're watching this video, my video on YouTube, you've got no excuse. You can check that out at least. Here's a clip from that film. Anyway.
Though your delivery's a little uninspired, maybe next time you could say something along the lines of waxed or Frank, you'll be taking an unexpected trip south. What's with this Mr. Torrance shit? You guys are so formal, loosen up a bit. My name's Frank. The friendly approach is always a more intimidating one.
Well, I need $500,000, Mr. Frank, or you will be moving south. You'll be moving south.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Oh, gotta go. Gotta call my accountant.
I feel that you are not taking me very seriously, Mr. Frank.
What makes you say that? There's one more in a storeroom. Throw them both out. Fix this light, clean up this mess.
Frank.
I don't have time now, Harry.
So you can see what I mean there. For somebody who was quite lesser known than a lot of the other martial arts action stars that were maybe A-list, like Van Damme, Seagal, even people like Mark Dacascos as well. Richard Norton's one that less people know about, which is a real shame. So, like I said, I hope this video has kind of raised some awareness there, because if you've not seen any of his films, you're missing out on some good ones. So, sometimes the roles that he had in movies would be fairly small bit parts, especially some of his early ones. He appeared in some Chuck Norris ones, such as The Octagon and Forced Vengeance, which are both pretty good Chuck Norris films. But it's kind of cool to see Richard Norton in early roles there, turning up. So, anyway, I think you kind of get the picture anyway. So, pretty good guy, and it was pretty sad to hear that he passed away last year, because he was always quite good at doing interviews as well and podcasts and stuff. So you can always check out a lot of his interviews as well. There's a lot of interesting stories that he's got to tell. So again, that's another thing to check out. Anyway. So if you're a fan of 80s and 90s action movies, action stars and so on, it's something that we do talk about on this channel and have been doing pretty much since the beginning, back in 2013. So you can always check back on some of our other videos and like and subscribe if you feel that way inclined. And for now, I will say thank you very much for